could you say that? What are you doing? I can't understand how you could even think that. Toastmasters, members, and guests, we are all confronted on a regular basis with questions that we're not necessarily prepared to answer. And Toastmasters International recognizes that this happens, and that's why we have table topics. But what is table topics? Table topics is called a chance of doing impromptu speaking. You're called up in front and you're asked to speak for 1 to 2 minutes on a particular subject or to answer a specific question. Many people consider this very frightening, but actually, if you just sit back and relax, take a deep breath, it's a lot of fun. And best of all, it can prepare you for those difficult questions that happen when you're not in this room with people who care and always want to support you. So first of all, the session of table topics is meant to give people who are attending the meeting a chance to speak who aren't already on the agenda. Our goal here is to give everybody a chance to come and give us their thoughts on things. And because we have speakers and Toastmasters and general evaluators and so forth, we use table topics as a way to rope in all the rest of the people in attendance. Now, there's 2 roles involved in table topics. One is to be the table topics master, and the other is to be our participant. So what does it mean to be a table topics master? That is the person that comes up with the challenging questions or thoughts or intriguing things like jewelry, like Nora did last week, that cause us to have to give a response, like I said, for 1 to 2 minutes. Now, in my mind, there's 3 sections to the role of the table topics master. First of all, they should show up at 6:45. All members should show up at 6:45, but especially the table topics master, because they should take our agenda and review who has the roles of the meeting so that they can avoid calling on those people during their table topic session. The other reason to arrive early is so that they can meet our guests and jot down their names and know what the guests' names are in order to possibly invite them to participate in table topics. So showing up early and figuring out who is on the agenda helps you to tailor your list of people you invite to participate. And when you make that list, the recommendation is that it is ordered to start with an experienced Toastmaster. As the guests that are here tonight will see, when we start with an experienced Toastmaster, it kind of shows everybody else how table topics works and makes them feel more confident when it might be their turn to participate. So we start with preferably an advanced Toastmaster, then we call up a basic Toastmaster, and then we proceed to invite guests to participate. That way, everybody sees the gradual progression of how table topics works and can participate at their own comfort level. Now, when you come up as a table topics master, you should introduce what table topics means. Many of us have been coming for years and years, but new members and new guests don't know what it's all about. So the first thing you should do when you come to the lectern is explain what is table topics. Then you should give a bit of an introduction to your theme if you have one, or to the mindset that you're presenting. Are we talking about global issues? Are we talking about local issues? And give just a very brief introduction to the subject matter of your table topic session. But you want to keep it brief, because we really want to focus on the people participating in table topics. You should also take time to remind everyone how the timing works, because as you heard, we had a gap from when the timer explained the roles, because we had 2 speakers. So by the time table topics comes, people may not realize how the timing will work. So a review of that is a good idea. And you need to take notice of how much time you have on the agenda for your participation. Now, one of the key components when you get around to asking the questions is to not invite the person until the question has been stated. Open with the question and then call on somebody to come forward. By doing it that way and not saying, Maureen, what do you think about this? Once I say Maureen's name, everybody else goes, that's not for me, I don't have to worry about it, I don't have to think of an answer. By saying, what do you think about the fact that we meet in this lovely setting, John, then everybody's sitting there going, oh my gosh, what do I answer? Let me think about that. So start with the question, then call on the person. As the person is coming forward, you lead the applause. When they complete their speech, you lead the applause and congratulate them on doing a good job. Generally, we like to have one sentence to say something like, that was an excellent brief discussion on the effects of climate change in our immediate area, and then move on to the next question. Again, you want to keep your comments short so we can have more time for the participants. At the end of the questions, you're going to remind everybody to vote and give their ballots to the vote counter, and finish your completed section by congratulating everybody on a job well done. Now you can ask any kind of question you want on any kind of theme. We tend to say avoid controversial issues, but every now and again it's fun to throw a little lighter fluid on the fire and get everybody. I especially like to ask people questions opposite to what I know their political or religious beliefs are. I especially invite our Table Topics Master to ask the question in both English and Spanish. As a non-Spanish speaker, it helps me a lot if I have heard the question in English, even when the response is in Spanish, because then I have a better idea of what it is they're trying to say. Now, when you're the participant, as I said earlier, the first thing you do when you come up here is relax and take a deep breath. The timing doesn't start till you say your first word. So if it takes you 10 or 15 seconds to put your thoughts together, that's perfectly okay. I find that if I can think of an opening statement, it leads into what I want to say. So I don't try to come up with 2 minutes right off the bat. I try to think of my first impression of this idea is blah, blah, and then my brain automatically adds A, B, and C to that concept. Sometimes it's easier to just tell a story about this subject rather than answer the question directly. So that can be a good technique. And finally, if you have no clue whatsoever on how to answer the question, make it up. There is no rule that says you have to give an answer directly to the question being asked. The idea is to get yourself comfortable speaking impromptu. In my opinion, I think of table topics as a cure for the old expression, oh, I wish I thought of that and could have said that when somebody asked me that question. The more we practice impromptu speaking, the more calm we'll be when we're challenged with an uncomfortable question out in public. Toastmasters.